All right, Kevin, keeping this one rolling. Simple question. Does the new look Big 12 work? I want to hear your opinion first.
I think it does. I think the new look Big 12 reminds me a little bit of the Pac-12 in the sense of it's not going to get the same respect that the SEC and the Big 10 do. But I think at the end of the day, it's a very competitive conference, and I liked what we saw this year. To be honest, I thought it was competitive. It was, for lack of a better term or lack of a better comparison, it was like the Pac-12 to me. Everybody could win every single week, which in the end, as you know, as a former Pac-12er, can hurt the conference and how it looks, right? BYU too, Colorado, Iowa State. Like, there was 4 teams that were tied for first place in the final week of the season. And there was talks from the powers that be, if you will, that the Big 12 may not make the college football playoff. The Big 12 may not get the at-large bid, or not, excuse me, the at-large bid, the first round bye. And I think that's just going to have to be something that the Big 12 has to deal with, because I don't foresee, unless, and this goes back to like the Florida State Clemson drama of like last year, where it's like, I don't foresee there being a brand big enough to sort of get this whole conference respect that it should deserve, or it does deserve.
I totally agree. And I want to go back to my original question first. Just, does the new Big 12 work? Absolutely agree with you. I love the new Big 12. I think it's fantastic. The Pac-12 fell apart. That's in the past. Moving forward with the Big 12, I thought this year was great for college football. Was it great for Utah? Of course not. They had a brutal season for what was expected. But you know what's awesome for college football? Unlikely stories. Arizona State picked to finish dead last, finding a way to win. We love a competitive conference. That's what the SEC bills itself as, right? This crazy competitive, top-notch conference and all the rest of the yada yada we hear all the time too. Big 12 generally was that. Anyone could beat anyone. Even Oklahoma State, who was not good, they nearly beat BYU. Utah, who was not very good, nearly beat BYU as well. Like, this is what makes college football great. These unpredictable outcomes, these unpredictable results. Kevin, I'll ask you this. Going into next season, just spitballing, how many teams could win the Big 12, like right now when we sit recording this?
Oh gosh. You're probably at 6 or 7, I think, on any given year, right? I think to name them, we'll just assume that Utah bounces back. So Utah, Colorado, Arizona State's going to build off of what they had. Iowa State got Rocco Becht back. BYU is probably going to be pretty good. So that's 5 right there. I feel like I'm probably even missing someone.
Maybe
Baylor's a good one. Yeah, Baylor's 6.
I'm not believe UCF. I think it takes a little bit more time. Cincinnati takes more time. West Virginia, first-year head coach for Rich Rodriguez. I don't see that.
That was 6 off the dome, though. So I feel like that's
exactly
6 out of 10 is pretty good, or 6 out of 10. 6 out of 16 is pretty good. That used to be the Big 12, 10 teams. But I think it'd be hard to go to other conferences, and like the Big 10. Name me 6 teams that'll win it next year. I'll tell you Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, and then I'll probably say Michigan, maybe. And that's it, right? That's it for me. And the SEC, maybe a little bit different. Texas, Georgia, Bama, Ole Miss, if we know who their quarterback is. So I think the Big 12 is in a good spot, right? I think as a conference, it's at a good spot competitively. I think there's a lot of teams that could contend for it. But at the end of the day, I think what would help the Big 12, and I think you've heard this before, just not for the Big 12, for the Pac-12 maybe, is they need someone to set themselves apart and sort of be like that, the dominant team. And whether it's Colorado or not, maybe that helps. Whether it's Utah or not, maybe that helps. But I think the problem is other people look around the college football scenery and they're like, Oregon went 13-0. Obviously the Big 10's like, obviously they're great. And then they look at the Big 12 and they're like, it's 4 teams tied for first place. Nobody in that conference is good.
Do they do that? But isn't it also brands? Isn't that like just the Oregon brand? Like, how does the Big 12 overcome that, Kevin?
Yeah, the team's got to grow their brands, and there's not really an easy way to do that. Like, Colorado's brand is because of Deion Sanders. I think it would be disingenuous to say anything else. Like, Colorado has always been a respected program. Yeah, maybe. I didn't think of them as a top 25 program though, year in and year out, and you have to think of them as that now. Yeah, growing up, I would say Colorado was kind of an afterthought for me as a West Coast kid, and like now they are at the forefront of college football. And so I think it's all about brand growth, and I think it's about sustained success. Because obviously, Clemson was not Clemson before like it was like Taj Boyd was good, and then it was like there was a phrase. Now if people remember this, it was called Clemsoning, and it was like could
Really?
Clemson get over the hump because they would always fall apart. It was called Clemsoning, and then Deshaun Watson, and my timeline could be a little hit or miss, but I know it was Taj Boyd to whomever, and then Deshaun Watson comes, right? Clemson wasn't always a blue blood powerhouse. They weren't. Texas, for instance, for the past decade and a half has been absolutely terrible. But you build the brand up. Obviously, Texas has always been a big brand, but you win games and everyone's like, Texas is back. We're cool with Texas again. And so it's just a matter of winning games and sustaining success. And I think like if Arizona State starts to string together a few 10+ win seasons, maybe they're going to be the face of the conference, right? It just depends on who wins and who does it the most consistently.
Yep, it's absolutely the case. And for this new look Big 12, I asked you to list those contenders too. What's crazy is, could you imagine last year we would have never said Arizona State, and they were the ones who came out of nowhere to end up winning it all too. And even like for the contenders we were talking about, I think we might have forgotten Kansas State. Oklahoma State is a bounce back potential. I don't know. They're kind of a crazy situation. Kansas is another one. Maybe they do have Daniels coming back. Do we get end of the season Kansas, or do we get like regular season Kansas? So the fact that
that's half the conference.
It is. So that's incredible. And I think that's cool. And like you said too, some people can take that as, well, that's because there's not a dominant brand. And yeah, I guess that's fair. But also here's the thing. Brands don't always carry over year to year. Like there's a reason that Utah was winning Pac-12 championships over Oregon and USC. They were just better teams. So I hope that the Big 12 continues to get some respect. I do think there's going to be years like the ACC just had. Like, why can't the Big 12 have several of the teams we just named be next year's SMU? Like, I see no reason why they couldn't. So if you could get multiple teams in, and BYU beat SMU early in the regular season, that would be another big thing for building that respect and brand for the Big 12. And I think there is a world where this team could get 2 teams in. They need the SEC to continue to beat itself up too. And we know the narratives that are always going to run with the SEC, Kevin. But if you get 2 teams in the playoff, I think that would also help give this conference even more respect. Because, I mean, do you think the ACC is viewed as better than the Big 12 right now?
Probably, but not by much. I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think SMU making it, Clemson making it, Miami was on the outside looking in. So I think they kind of get the edge. I think realistically what the Big 12 needs is a conference, and there's not really a way to control this because then you start playing with schedules weird. You need 2 or 3 teams to have 2 or less losses. And those losses come from early season. Like, I don't know if the Big 12.
Good teams.
Right. So it's tough, right? You can't hit that 3-loss threshold. And unfortunately for the Big 12, I think it was all 4 of the top teams had 3 losses, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or was it just
for the preseason poll?
No. The top 4 teams at the end of the season there before the Big 12.
I think BYU did.
Okay.
They didn't have 3 losses. Colorado did, to your point. Iowa State, I think they were just 10-2 until they lost, obviously. Arizona State, 2 losses. So, 2 of the 4.
They got to be better than that. And, like, it's hard because, like, I remember talking about Colorado's path to the playoff, and, like, I would look at the other schedules of the other teams, and it was like, okay, BYU plays this team. Okay, Iowa State plays this team. And it's like they're going at it. And that's always been the problem with the Big 12 is the best are always going to play the best, which is good for product, but bad for the conference's chances of making playoff.
Does the Big 12 need to schedule a week 11 game against Mercer? Is that what we're saying too?
I mean, take away a conference game, maybe. I mean, it wouldn't hurt, right?
I hate it, but it might actually be what they have to do in order to just get more teams in the playoffs. So that's something.
On the year. Extra win on the year. It's an extra win, and it takes away a possible loss from a conference member.
This is where I wish we had a college football commissioner that would be like, you're going to play one FCS team, you're going to play one group of 5 team, and then you were going to play one other Power 4 team that you can schedule. Or even like, what if we grouped together like the Big 10 and the SEC and then the ACC and the Big 12 and had like whatever team finished each spot in the standings? Like last year, you just play them across like that, which is what the NFL does from year to year. I would love something like that.
I like that idea. I haven't heard that before. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah. Hey, maybe I can be college football commissioner.
Here he is.
Me or Josh, isn't Josh Pate the other one who always campaigns for it?
You and Josh Pate, you guys can go at it.
He's like the one person in college football media I got more hair than. So at least I got that on.
Nice.
But yeah, hopefully we see some type of formats such as that in the future.